Russia stresses that the Arab League is driven away from any political solution after being influenced by certain radical countries. Our army units continue to chase terrorists in different areas and inflict heavy losses upon them. Good afternoon and welcome to our news for today. President Bashar al-Assad has sent a letter to the President of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, the chairman of the BRICS summit currently held in South Africa, about the current situation in the country and the region.
The President said in a message to the BRICS summit currently held in Durban in South Africa, "I'm glad to address you and address through you the leaders of the BRICS states who are currently convening in your friendly country to contribute to the realization of security and stability in our world. BRICS has become a source of hope for our oppressed peoples who are suffering from certain countries' flagrant intervention in their affairs against their own people's interests." President al-Assad added, "I address you, dear leaders, from my country Syria, that has been suffering over the past 2 years from terrorism that is supported by Arab regional and Western states and is set on killing civilians and destroying infrastructure and cultural heritage and the Syrians' identity in coexistence and equality among all their components." President al-Assad called on the summit's leaders to combine efforts to put an end to violence in Syria, to guarantee the success of the political solution that requires a clear international desire to stop the funding and arming of terrorism and the draining of its sources. President al-Assad added, addressing the BRICS leaders, "Representing a huge political, economic and cultural weight that seeks peace and security in a troubled world, you are invited to exert all efforts to lift the suffering of the Syrian people due to the unjust and illegal economic sanctions that have their direct impact on the livelihood of our citizens and their daily needs." President al-Assad voiced the aspirations of the Syrian people to work with the BRICS states as a fair power that seeks to spread peace and security and cooperate among states away from the hegemony, dictates and injustice practiced against our people for decades. His Excellency expressed hope that the BRICS countries would work for achieving democracy in international relationships and effectively restrain countries known for their interference in other countries' affairs and their violation of the UN Charter.
Meanwhile, the BRICS Group's 5th summit opened in Durban in South Africa under the motto, "The BRICS Group and Africa, a partnership for development, integration and industrialization." The President of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, opened the summit meeting. In his speech, he affirmed that the BRICS summit is accorded world attention. He said the countries of the group aspire for more cooperation to realize growth and invest the efforts of their peoples who are struggling for a better life. Chinese President Xi Jinping said that the aim of the meeting today is to maintain integration and cooperation among the BRICS countries and between them and other states, and to form a strong and solid bond for such partnership. We are looking forward towards cooperation in building the infrastructure of such development through a financial network and exchanges based on justice and integration, the Chinese President pointed out. He stressed the need to enhance security and stability in the world. Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh asserted the need to address all challenges in a bid to deepen cooperation among the BRICS states. He underlined the role of the group on the Indian arena. He said, "We must work together in order to reform the international institutions in the political and economic domains so that they would convey facts and become more efficient, particularly the United Nations Security Council." He added that the world is facing unprecedented changes that would aggravate international problems, especially terrorism and extremism. Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff said the BRICS group, with its geography and a huge population, is qualified to be a big power that has a direct impact on the international arena. She said, "We will not allow the developed countries to advance at our expense." She affirmed that realizing economic growth and protecting the environment represent our objective for the upcoming stage. In his speech before the BRICS summit, Russian President Vladimir Putin stressed that cooperation with the BRICS countries is a Russian priority, calling for mobilizing the group's efforts to support coming economic projects. Putin added that his country supports dialogue and mutual cooperation among the BRICS states. On the other hand, Putin called for working with the UN in order to combat terrorism in the world. On the sideline of the BRICS summit meeting, Russian President Vladimir Putin and his South African counterpart Jacob Zuma agreed to enhance cooperation between the two countries in the military field and signed a protocol of strategic cooperation between their two countries. The protocol stresses their willingness not to participate in any military or political alliance or take part in any armed conflict against any other country, in addition to increasing economic cooperation between them in all fields, especially trade and bank investments. Russia has criticized handing over Syria's seat at the Arab League to the Doha coalition, affirming that the step would be of no help in finding a political solution to the crisis in Syria, adding that this means the Arab League has no more to do with the search for a political solution to the crisis. Russia's permanent representative to the UN, Vitaly Churkin, said, "In dealing with the Syrian question, the Arab League has come right from the start under the influence of certain extremist powers and states that embrace special agendas." He said, handing Syria's seat to the Doha coalition contravenes international laws, adding that Syria's membership at the League had not been dropped but suspended. The Russian official said, phrasing Syria's membership at the League since the beginning of the crisis has indicated that this League is not in favor of a serious solution based on negotiations. He added that Moscow was baffled towards other steps that were taken by the League concerning the crisis in Syria, recalling that the League had taken a decision in 2011 to send to Syria a mission of monitors whose work was ended when it started to convey objective information on the events there. Iran underlined the need to prevent repeating the use of chemical weapons by terrorist groups in Syria, calling for taking measures to prevent a recurrence of this crime. In a letter to the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and to the Security Council, Iranian Foreign Minister Ali Akbar Salehi condemned the use of the chemical weapons by terrorist groups in Syria against the innocent civilians in Khan al-Assad and Aleppo, saying that this incident constitutes a blatant threat to the international peace and security, and it is a clear violation of the well-known legal standards recognized internationally, especially the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons Treaty. Salehi pointed out that Iran expects from all governments and international organizations, including the UN, to openly condemn as soon as possible this crime and to support an independent investigation into it. NATO Secretary General Fogh Rasmussen stressed that the alliance has no plans to interfere in Syria. He added that NATO is not planning to interfere in Syria, pointing out that the solution in that country must be political. It is to be noted that this attitude taken by NATO has been already voiced in the past about its refusal to interfere militarily in Syria. Units of the Syrian Arab Army continued to chase the terrorist groups that had committed acts of killing, looting and sabotage in Jobar, Adra and al-Ataybe, inflicting heavy casualties among them. Syrian Arab Army units clashed with several terrorist groups at the roundabout of the parliament near Tiba Mosque and the perimeter of the transportation building in Jobar, killing many terrorists. Meanwhile, in a distinguished operation, a unit of the Syrian Arab Army destroyed 3 vehicles that the terrorists were using in the attacks against the civilians in the town of al-Ataybe. In Latakia countryside, an army unit targeted terrorist gatherings and hideouts in the town of Al-Rihaniye, inflicting heavy losses upon them. Scores of terrorists were killed in the operation, including Abd Salam Akko, Burhan Ahmed, Mullah Najib, Hussam al-Jubayri and Abi Talha, who were identified among the dead. A number of those terrorists killed were of non-Syrian nationalities. The army destroyed 2 pickup trucks and field hospital and confiscated stolen medical equipment. In Deir ez-Zor, our army units clashed with terrorist groups in Asina and Sheikh Yassin neighborhoods, killing and wounding a number of them. Army units destroyed 2 cars equipped with machine guns and several dens housing terrorists who were committing acts of looting and robbery in Al-Hwayqa and Al-Jubila neighborhoods. All the terrorists are affiliated with Al-Nusra Front. In Homs, army units clashed remnants of terrorist groups in Baba Amr area and inflicted upon them heavy losses. During the operation, dozens of terrorists were killed and wounded. With this to end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Khalid Saqabani after a short break.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The Prime Minister, Dr. Wael Halaqi, issued a memo this morning stipulating for the fair treatment of the uncompleted contracts that were made between the public establishments and the contractors. This memo comes due to the importance of the implementing of these contracts and overcoming the obstacles that are hindering them. The memo also pointed out that this needs to be done in line with the laws number 51 for the year 2004 and the law number 450 in addition to the regulations issued by the Prime Ministry. The Minister of Health, Dr. Saad Naif, announced that there is no real drug shortage and that the ministry is working on securing the local and imported missing medications. The minister held a press statement after he toured a number of the pharmacies in Damascus, during which he pointed out that most of the needed medications are available and that there are new shipments coming in soon. These shipments include baby milk and the tuberculosis medication. These items are coming from the friendly countries and some international organizations. The minister also noted that the local plants are providing about 75% of the market's needs. The governor of the Central Bank of Syria, Adib Mayale, asserted that last week's decline of the Syrian pound's exchange rate against the foreign currency is unreal, adding that this is due to speculations as a result of rumors, saying that the banks are running out of foreign currency. Dr. Mayale confirmed that the bank is working to keep the Syrian pound exchange rate stable. The governor also noted the important role that the banks and the security institutions can play in bridging the gap between the regular and the irregular exchange rates, in addition to providing funding for the essential imports, securing their availability in the local market. The Ministry of Tourism licensed 2 touristic projects in Tartus worth an estimated value of 100 million Syrian pounds. The first project includes building 24 3-star resorts, while the second project includes building a 2-star restaurant to be set up on the mountain. The Directorate of Tourism in Tartus said that a number of touristic facilities have already been put into service in the governorate, including a restaurant, a swimming pool, and a 2-star hotel in Masht al-Hulu, in addition to a 2-star restaurant on the beach walk in Tartus. He pointed out that there is a coordination with the touristic company of Arwad concerning the Arwad Hotel project, adding that this site will be handed over to the Viniqia Corporation, the new investing company. The American spot oil traded near a 5-week high after the new U.S. economic data signaled the growth in the world's biggest crude consumer. Futures were little changed in New York after a 1.6% increase, the highest during the year. The American stocks extended gains after the close of the European trading yesterday, pushing the Standard & Poor's index 0.8% up. The European stocks were little changed. The Japanese shares went up after the American home prices and the durable goods orders rose faster than estimated. Gold declined for a fourth day, extending the first back-to-back quarterly losses since the year 2001 as signs that the U.S. economy is recovering, and this cut the demand for the bullion as a store of wealth. The yen dropped against most of its major peers as the traders bet on the Bank of Japan. The yen is 0.3% down against the dollar as it also fell versus the euro. On the other hand, the euro traded 0.2% lower versus the dollar. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our news bulletin for today. Thank you for joining us.